can I thank you, each of you and all of you, for coming to give us your evidence. Now, although we have 5 of you, I know that the person sitting nearest to me is Patricia, is it? Yes. She is there to support yourself, Linda. You wish to be known as Linda?
Yes, please.
And then we have someone who would be known as Tony, although I think when you hear him swear the oath, you may hear a different set of given names. And you're supporting Dot, is it? And then we come to Fiona. So in a moment or two, I'm going to ask Mary to invite you each to take the oath. In the case of you, Tony, it'll be the interpreter's oath, because there may be occasions when I understand your wife may not be able to speak sufficiently well for us to be able to understand what she's saying, and you can help with that. In a moment or two, then, Miss Fraser-Butler will ask the questions, and you can see who you're speaking to here. Mary.
Please state your full name.
Fiona Allen.
Take the book in your raised hand and repeat after me. I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give.
The evidence I shall give.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Please state your full name.
Oliver Life.
Take the book in your raised hand and repeat after me. I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give.
That the evidence I shall give.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
Please state your full name.
Paul Anthony Wright.
Take the book in your raised hand and repeat after me. I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That I will well and fully interpret.
That I will well and fully interpret.
And true explanation make.
And true explanation make.
Of all such matters and things.
Of all such matters and things.
As shall be required of me.
As shall be required of me.
According to the best of my skill.
According to the best of my skill.
And understanding.
And understanding.
Please state your full name.
Linda Atkinson.
Take the book in your raised hand and repeat after me. I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give.
That the evidence I shall give.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Yes.
Fiona.
Hi.
When you were about 25, you had severe abdominal pain and you were admitted into hospital. What did they discover when you were admitted?
They discovered a non-malignant tumour on my fallopian tube, which had strangulated and obviously caused problems with my ovary.
So you had the strangulated fallopian tube removed and one of the ovaries?
Yeah.
At that point, what were you told about your ability to have children?
Basically non-existent. We had been trying for a family, and I was told that my chances were slim to nil.
And so in 1984, you adopted your daughter.
Yes.
And then at Christmas, you discovered you were pregnant with your son.
Yeah.
You were admitted to hospital at 27 weeks.
Yes.
And why was that?
I had been bleeding quite a lot, and I'd been going for scans, and it had been detected the placenta was quite low, but I was told on occasions that as the birth develops, that the placenta can move up, but I did go 1 week and it had went further down, so they basically said, this isn't looking good, I think we're going to have to bring you in. So I did go for a scan and I was told I couldn't go home. It was so grade 4 sort of thing.
It was a placenta previa.
Yes.
So the placenta was in the completely wrong place.
Yes.
And you were at high risk of hemorrhaging.
Yes, yeah.
And in fact, you did hemorrhage.
Yes.
And you went into theatre for an emergency caesarean.
Yeah.
At that point, I think you were also given 3 units of blood.
Yes. I think it was 3 or 4. I think it was. I've just erred on the cautious side.
Can you tell us what your health was like after the birth of your son?
It was actually horrendous, and I did speak, funnily enough, to my daughter about it to say I couldn't believe how ill I felt after it, but I had nothing to gauge against, so I did put it down to it being an emergency traumatic caesarean, but I just felt so ill and I couldn't explain, and I didn't really have an interest in the baby. It just took me a long time to recover, and I just didn't feel good about it.
Can you tell us in what way you didn't feel good?
I just felt so sick, drained, fuzzy. I just wanted to sleep all the time. I had folk coming up, family wanting to visit me, and I just felt so ill, and I remember thinking, surely this just can't be down to childbirth. Yeah.
And in fact, during that period, for the first couple of weeks, your son...
Yes.
And your GP encouraged you to have the child care that you had for
Yes.
your daughter to continue, even though you
Because
were
I
home.
was going to see him, and I was so unwell. I think he had to come out at one point. Yeah.
9 years later, you went to donate blood.
Yeah.
And what happened after that?
I did. I can't remember how long it took after, but I did get a letter. I think it was from Law Hospital, just simply stating, thank you for coming to give blood. Unfortunately, we can't accept your blood. It's detected that you have a blood infection. Please be reassured, it's not hepatitis, it's not HIV or AIDS. In the interim, don't share razors, toothbrushes, and we'll see you at some point. And then it was a Friday night, and we were going on holiday on the Saturday with young children, and I was absolutely devastated because I couldn't get in touch with anybody, and I had to go away on holiday, totally ruined, thinking, bearing in mind it was 30 odd years ago, oh my God, I'm infected, and I didn't want to drink, I didn't want to do anything, so it was pretty scary, yeah.
Because you'd received that letter effectively late on a Friday.
Yes, yes.
So although the letter had a number to call, you couldn't ring it.
Through. No.
When you got back, you then had an appointment with doctors at the blood transfusion service.
Yes.
And what did they ask you about?
They asked me if I had ever dealt with drugs, which I quite emphatically haven't, and if we'd ever had any kind of promiscuous relationships, which we hadn't either, so yeah.
And you then had a discussion with the doctors, and it was discussed that the hepatitis B had probably arisen from the blood transfusions.
Yes, yeah.
What did they say in relation to that?
They had said that the likelihood of me being infected before my childbirth was quite remote due to the fact that I had taken blood tests, etc. Nothing had ever shown up, and that most likely my baby would be infected as well.
So they could pin it down to
Yeah, the
as
bowel
the
birth.
blood transfusion. What advice did they give you at that point about hepatitis B?
Nothing at all except for don't share razors, reduce your alcohol, just safety measures, don't share cups and that, but nothing else, nothing else.
In your statement, you said that you were advised it was unfortunate that you had hepatitis B, but that you should be grateful that the transfusion after the birth saved your life.
Yeah, I was told that so many times by people. We just spoke about it this morning, saying how that was all I ever got was, oh, you should be grateful it saved your life.
You were then referred to the Brownlee Infectious Diseases Centre.
Yeah.
And what were you advised there?
I spoke to a lovely consultant there, and I went on a couple of occasions to see him. He was very nice, just explained what hepatitis B was, that the cells were still replicating at that point. So gave me really just re-endorsed what precautions I should be taking, which were generally what I'd already been told.
And he, after seeing him a few times, he then encouraged you to be checked every 6 months
Yeah.
by the GP. But at that point, were you offered any treatment of any sort?
No, nothing at all. Nothing at all.
What's your physical health been like since then?
I don't have the best health. When I was born, I had a condition called spina bifida occulta, which has given me back pain, which I really didn't know until after the birth. And then it was sort of exacerbated, and I now have to take slow-release tramadol on a daily basis for my spine. My immune system's poor enough, as in I do seem to keep taking different infections, but generally I would say my health, I'm quite lucky.
You've said in your statement that you've had consistent fatigue as
Yeah,
well over
yeah,
the years.
Yeah, I have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I was always encouraged to, I had to give my children to their grandparents every week, because every weekend, just because I was just constantly exhausted all the time. And again, I had lots of brain fog. I went through a very early change of life, and all my illnesses and conditions I put down to the change of life. By that then I was only 37 at the time. But it's on reflection, just when I think about it, I think because I don't know what I don't know, yeah, it was a bit of a horrendous time for me then as well, because I was walking on like cotton wool all the time, you know.
So you've talked in your statement that you had significant fatigue, but you kept being told that you were fine.
Yes, yeah.
And then you had the early menopause.
Yeah.
And you were told that that was the reason
Yeah,
for your fatigue and your brain fog.
yeah,
But now looking back, you're left questioning whether it's the hepatitis.
yes, yeah.
In terms of the impact on your mental well-being, what can you tell us about that?
I deal with it fine now, but at the time, as it was 30 odd years ago, I was absolutely scared to tell anybody at all. And I was worried that I would infect people, and I was worried if I was holding their children. I was paranoid about everything in the house with the children. And yeah, it did, and it affected my personal relationship in the house quite badly.
And your marriage broke down.
Yeah, yeah.
And you say in your statement it was largely because of your infected status and your fatigue.
Yeah, yeah.
Since then, you've not had any significant relationships.
I've been too scared to, just because I'm diagnosed as a Hep B carrier with chronic hepatitis, and I'm frightened to tell anybody, you know. My friends know, etc., but it's very difficult to put that across to somebody, so I've avoided it.
In terms of your medical treatment, you went to the Brownlee for tests for a few years, but then what follow-up have you had since then of your hepatitis B?
I've never ever been asked to go specifically for these tests. I've just assumed that every time I've had an illness or something that it has been, my liver's been checked, but not to my knowledge do I know anything except that I'm always going to be a hepatitis B carrier.
And so there's no formal liver follow-up for you that's in place at all?
No.
In your statement, you've talked about 2 experiences of interactions with clinicians about your hepatitis B that you've described as difficult.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about those? First of all, in relation to a varicose vein across the knee.
Yeah, I don't suffer from varicose veins, but I did get one right across my knee, and I went to my doctor and I was referred immediately to a vascular surgeon who did it that week because he was a bit concerned about it. Always on every pre-assessment, I've always mentioned my Hep B carrier status, and it was all down and right, and I get down to the theatre and we were just about to go in and the surgeon came out, and literally his voice was so loud saying that I hadn't advised him that I had hepatitis B. I was in a vascular area and I should be more mindful to tell people. And it was the most horrendous thing. I went in crying my eyes out into theatre, and it was awful.
And secondly, you needed a biopsy of your womb.
Yeah.
And what happened then?
Again, I came back from theatre and one of the nurses came up to change a dressing, and I had been bleeding, and she looked at my notes and raised her voice and said, "You could have let me know." And I said, "It's in my records." And she said, "I've got children to think about. You could have given me the opportunity to wear gloves." And I knew the lady in the bed next to me, and it was so traumatic because I was so embarrassed.
Throughout your interactions with clinicians, originally in relation to the hepatitis B, but subsequently in relation to fibromyalgia and other difficulties you've had, has anyone offered you any psychological support?
No, never.
And in terms of your situation today, what's your position in relation to your condition today?
I'm a bit more open about it now because I'm not ashamed, and because of all the investigations, people know that these things happen now. I just get on with my life, and financially it's very difficult. Financially it's difficult because as soon as you've got that on your records, when I got separated from my husband, I had to change my mortgage, etc. And all my premiums, I had to cancel my critical life insurance because everything shot up. All my travel insurance is expensive. So it is difficult when you have to recognise it.
So do you now not have life insurance?
I do have life insurance, yeah, I do, because that was long before I took that out when, obviously when I was younger.
But the critical
I
life
don't have the critical life insurance, I had to cancel that.
Thank you. Dot, say that everyone understands your situation. You were diagnosed with cancer of the tongue relatively recently,
4 years.
2 years ago. And so your speech has been significantly affected.
I have.
So I'm going to ask questions as normal, but if we're struggling, Tony, your husband, is going to help us.
Well,
You gave birth to your daughter in 1976 and experienced heavy bleeding after that,
so,
requiring 2 dilation and curettage procedures.
yes, absolutely.
You were also given blood transfusions.
I can't remember how many, but it was a lot of them.
You bled again a few weeks later and underwent a hysterectomy.
Happened. I was listening because they couldn't stop the bleeding. So his spectrum was.
And at that point, it was discovered you had a career carcinoma. And you underwent chemotherapy and radiotherapy.
At the Western Park Hospital.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Western Park in Sheffield.
Thank you. And needed further transfusions and further surgery.
Another a growth in my tummy.
Sorry, I didn't catch it.
She had a growth in her tummy.
So, would we like to? Do we want to just take a short break?
Just have a short break,
Thank you.
just for a few minutes. I'm sorry about this, but that's what we're going to do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Say 5 minutes, 10:30.